resetting the
Oh,
clock.
okay.
First order of business is, resetting the clock. No, first order of business is quieting my phone. All right, there we go. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Berlin Conservation Commission meeting of March 19th, 2025. As a reminder, open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice will be recorded. Minutes. I saw minutes.
Yep, so
Yeah.
we did have the February 25th set of minutes. Was it? No, it wasn't the 25th, was it? No. February 19th.
Right, that sounds more like
I
it.
Yep.
cannot vote
Right.
on those.
Yep,
'cause
I was not
wasn't
here. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so the minutes for our last meeting, are you just gonna watch the video?
Yeah, that's usually what I do anyway.
Okay. All right, so I would take a motion to accept the minutes from the February 19th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, we just barely have a quorum.
Right.
Yikes.
Yep.
I thought
Well-
Ethan was gonna be here tonight. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I guess. Well, I guess technically
Yeah.
you can vote on them
Aye.
if you look
Oh,
at them.
that's right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does, the Mullins rule doesn't really apply to it, but if you
Oh, okay.
if you look
Okay.
at them.
All right, and
Okay.
aye. Yeah, because we wouldn't have a quorum to vote on them
Right.
otherwise.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was worried about.
Yeah. All right, treasurer's report. Any update?
Yeah, no real updates. We're still at, on the wetlands account, we have $14,599.07. Open space, we have $28,302.78. And the annual budget has $1,479.44.
Awesome. Yeah, so my garden people, Mrs. Bickford and AJ, if there are things that you guys need for the garden out of the annual budget this year,
Okay, thanks for kicking me off set of base. I'll look into it. I hadn't given it any thought.
okay.
Sorry. Hey, Jake, you gotta remind me.
All right.
Maybe we should make a trip over there tomorrow,
Yeah.
the next day.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Bills and forms.
Yep, so Phil attended the MACC conference and submitted a reimbursement request for that conference. It was $150 to attend the conference. So,
Wow, that got expensive.
yeah.
I didn't charge mileage. I didn't think that.
Yeah. Thank
With
you.
Worcester, that wasn't,
Yeah.
I was happy to.
You need a motion?
I do.
So move.
Do we have a sign-in sheet?
We do.
Yeah, we do, yep.
Hey, Lynn. So Mr. Bickford made a motion to reimburse Phil $150 for the MACC conference. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for going. And you said you enjoyed it?
I did enjoy it. I mean, I thought it was well structured and well attended, and the food was pretty good too. Off the record maybe, but we're on the record anyway, so there we are.
Okay, and then you'll put together the bills, the schedule of
Yep.
bills payable. Awesome.
I would just like to add, Maddie went over the list for me and made recommendations to which sessions to attend, and I really appreciated that. I think that
Awesome.
it was.
Did you do some of the basic
I did.
towards the certification, the fundamentals?
Yep.
That's what
Right,
it is.
Right.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so I thought it was really, really well, it was good. And someone said, "Do you know Walter?"
You only got that once?
Right?
Only one, well, I don't know, maybe there, if I'd have
And you said,
networked more, maybe I would have.
you said, who doesn't know Walter?
Well, exactly.
Anything else?
That's it for bills and forms.
All right. Mail and notices.
Mail and notices. Right, so Kristen O'Brien will be checking out some of the conservation restriction properties. So let's see, where's she heading to? She's doing Kelsey CR monitoring on Thursday, March 27th at 9 a.m. If anyone's interested, let me know and I'll get in contact with Kristen.
Thursday, did you say?
Yep, Thursday, March 27th.
so not-
next week,
yeah.
next Thursday, yeah. She also did mention that Maplewood Farm seems to be kind of pumping their basin onto their property and causing the
Aw,
erosion, which was an
jeez.
issue last year.
Right, Walter, can you go check
I
that out?
will
Thank
Yeah.
you.
tomorrow.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want the information on
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. And is that something so basically SVT goes out to each of the properties once a year?
I went with Mark
Yeah.
last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they were two properties I'd never been to before, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just interesting to see how they do it and
Who were the two?
the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Coming
cool.
up.
Are they
There were
doing
two
more
coming
than
up.
one property or
Oh,
Next week, they're
Kelsey.
just doing Kelsey.
Yeah.
So,
Kelsey's?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, so off of Ball Hill Road there.
yep.
Oh, that's up the hill from me.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
I will try to go,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Was there a time on that?
You know you have to walk through
9
the
a.m.
woods.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not on the trails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked through those woods many a time.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
No.
All right, anything else?
It's been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Other than that, really.
Yeah, lots of back and forth about tonight, one way or the other, but, oh,
Guess not.
I just got a text from Heather that,
Yes, that's
oh, there you go.
He was like, oh, on my way. So
Awesome.
10 minutes, is that okay?
Sure.
I'll be here.
Sure, yeah, yeah. Do you wanna do your annual ask while you're here?
Sure, shall we? That'd be lovely.
Come on
I'm
up.
Heather. Hi, Louise. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Simpson, for anyone who doesn't know me. And I'm with Hands on Nature in town. We do nature camps. So this year, I think it's mid-June to like the mid-August. I can email you the dates maybe.
Okay.
We're just asking for permission for porta potties on our land, your land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
so-
and in the same place as always?
Yeah, tucked away. Was that okay last year?
Yeah,
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 right.
it always seems to
Okay.
work out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the kids love it. So this kid, who was an Eagle Scout, is from Northborough, and he wants to do our trails in town because he fell in love with them during
Awesome.
camp. So it's creating, love for our open land and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
So how
And
does
you've
that
seen the
sound?
bridge that Walter rebuilt over
Yeah,
the stream
I
down there?
saw- so I haven't gone to that part of it lately, but I'm going in a couple of weeks. But I saw it on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Nice job, thank you.
Yeah.
That was awful because you saw, right? Like it would tip the kids like into the water. I'm
Yeah.
like, hold on. So
Fortunately,
thank you.
there's only this much water in
I
there.
know, but then the muck is like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wear little sandals. It's,
Is
yeah.
that the one
Yep.
that two Bickfords did, or just the one?
No,
I-
just the stone one that you did at
Oh,
the end of
oh,
the
that one.
meadow.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one, yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, while I'm here, wait, I have to vote on that.
yes.
Is that okay?
Does anybody have any questions for Heather? If not, can I have a motion to allow Heather to put a porta potty on Berlin Meadow for the months of June, July, and August?
Yeah, so 8 weeks
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
So moved?
Second.
Any
Great.
further discussion?
No, you can do it.
Yeah. No fighting over seconds. Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely.
Okay.
And then what about the land next to like Hathy Hills property? So is that gonna get trails on it? Is that
Yeah,
one option?
the on Carter Street?
Travis's, yeah.
Right. So, CPA is definitely gonna put a sign,
Okay, great.
just saying, so we have an
Access.
easement over at the end.
Okay.
And yes, there will be a trail at some point,
Yeah.
where our current kind of bigger project is, I don't know if you know Ethan Bickford. He's not here tonight, but he's
Oh.
our trails guy.
Okay.
No relation.
No, wow. Okay.
And he is working on rerouting. So you know the trail around Brewer Brook on the Pleasant Street side, that low,
Okay.
long, mucky area.
Yes.
So he's working on kind of bringing that up the hill some and
Okay.
around and rerouting it. So it's a fairly big project.
Okay. So
Um,
that's the efforts and energy
yes.
going there. Great.
Yep.
Good. It's a good
Yeah,
project.
so that is one of the things I'm gonna recommend to I'm gonna put
Okay.
your Eagle Scout in
Yeah.
touch with Ethan so
Oh,
they can figure out,
lovely.
but
Okay.
if he wants to help with that,
Yeah. Okay.
or if there is something else that he wants to do, maybe he can work on putting the trail on the
Yeah.
Carter Street property.
Yeah, great. I honestly think he'll be open for whatever the greatest need is. You
Sure.
know?
Yep.
So great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So should we just so literally probably 4 minutes.
Okay. All right, but
Actually, do you mind if I go down and just wait for him? Because
Sure.
I'm not getting any Wi-Fi really, so
Okay.
I don't know if he knows where to go.
no problem.
Okay, good. So we're all set for
Yep.
the summer, though.
Yep.
Okay, and I'll be right back.
All right, moving on to our always present list of open orders. Maplewood, Walter, you're gonna go out and check that out?
Yep.
That'd be great. Highland Ridge, we did get a monitoring report, I saw
Yeah.
that
We
today.
did. It's
Yes.
slightly different than all the other reports.
Right?
We have a clog in the basin outlet, so.
Yeah, so, I don't know if everybody saw this, so there's some leaves clogging the basin outlet. So,
I sent that to the trustees today,
okay,
so I'll probably hear from one of them. And I can't imagine it being that complicated.
take a stick and poke
I
it
think
in.
so. I don't have hip boots, but I'm sure I can figure something
Right,
out.
okay. I bet you our friend here could help you figure
Well, I'm
something
gonna
out
see
too.
him on Friday, well, we're gonna be together on Friday, so,
Okay,
yeah. So
All right.
I'm sure we got it sorted out, and I can report something back.
all right, let us know if you need any assistance.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yes.
So have the trustees now taken over all management of work, pretty much on the property at this point?
They have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really no input.
Okay.
Right,
Uh,
so,
I just give them the report and of course, there hadn't really been anything to talk about over the winter, obviously, but
Right.
maybe spring will bring more, little projects like this to.
right, so I'm wondering if we should ask Patrick to add the trustees to his report so
right.
that you don't have to be responsible for getting it to them. Okay.
You have their email,
Can you actually forward it to me?
Absolutely, I'll be glad
Okay.
to.
Okay.
I'll send it to
Yeah.
everybody for what it's worth.
Okay.
So- Well, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the map of, Louise just asked me for the street map. So I'll just send that
Okay.
together
Sure.
for what it's worth, simple enough. And their names for what it's worth. Very good.
I know how many are there?
3,
3?
Linda
I know Jill
Wyatt
and Linda.
and Jack Reed.
Okay.
So,
I ask this every time, but how much longer do we need to monitor it? I mean, it's pretty well established. And maintenance is routine maintenance of the owners in your group.
Right, so
Why?
the status of it is, so in the order of conditions that we issued, we said that it had to be monitored and that they had to pay Pat. Right, that,
How long?
Until they get a COC.
until they get a COC.
Oh,
Yep.
So we have, Pat emailed us saying, hey, would you guys be open to amending the order of conditions? And we said, yes, but we can't do that. They have to request that. So we even sent them an email saying, hey, if you were to request an amendment to the order of conditions, we would probably be open to that. And we heard nothing.
I
So,
recall that now,
yeah. So if they wanna keep paying Pat, that is their business.
Okay.
so again, I think the question, well, when I showed AJ
Yep,
course of
but
action.
until they request
Right.
either an amendment to the order of conditions or a certificate of compliance, the current order stands.
There was a hearing on February 20th, but regarding,
Yeah,
the-
well,
but
that's,
that's,
yep,
I don't know anything about it, other than it happened, so.
right. All right, so, hi,
Hi.
come on up.
This is Ishan Nayak
Excellent.
from Northborough.
I'm just gonna have you sign in, right there, just sign in. And then if you would introduce yourself and let us know why you're here.
So my name is Ishan Naik. I'm a junior at Algonquin in Northborough, and I'm a Boy Scout. And I am upcoming this summer. I want to work on my Eagle project, get that done. So I worked with Heather over last summer. Oh yeah, I went there as a little kid for her program, and then for the last 2 years I've been counseling at her program. And as I was walking the trails and looking around, I noticed that there's a lot of bridges and stuff, and if you guys need like service and stuff, a lot of Eagle projects involve cleaning up trails, building bridges, trail markers where we paint the trees, general maintenance is that's the kind of thing that we look for a project. So I was wondering if you guys would have any availability or opportunity for me to come help you guys and restore some of the trails.
We will always welcome trail work, always. So before you got here, we were talking with Heather. There are two things that come to mind immediately. Unfortunately, our trails guy isn't here tonight, but I am going to put you guys in touch with each other. He's working on a major reroute of, where Heather does her hands-on nature,
Right.
if you continue to follow those trails over to the Brewer Brook Dam, there's that low area that's kind of long and almost always wet. So he's working on rerouting that trail to higher ground.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he would love some help with that. I don't know if what you need to do to qualify as an Eagle Scout project, if you have to be more in charge of it.
Yeah. So for me, I have to take like some sort of leadership position.
Right.
But we could definitely like work with him, and if he has anything like areas that need to be cleared out, anything of that sort.
Right.
So I think like the words that they use in the requirements is like a lasting impact on the community.
Okay.
So I think anything along the lines of like, especially like retrailing a route would definitely count
Right.
as a lasting impact.
Right, yes, indeed. So there's that project, and then
Right.
almost across the street from Heather's house is a newer piece of conservation land that has no trail, that if you were interested in, working on establishing a trail there,
Okay.
that would be welcome as well.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in touch with Ethan. Heather, so probably the easiest way is I'll email you Ethan's email
Right,
address, and you can
perfect.
get it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, to Ishan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So either project's important, right?
Y-
Either
th-
way.
They're,
Okay.
yep.
Equally.
They're all important.
Good. Sure.
Yeah. So, it can be your choice. And, or if Ethan is like, oh my gosh, I so need the help, that would be
Yeah.
fabulous. So I will let you guys work that out.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and then whatever else you need from us, whatever other support you need from us, we are here.
All right. Thank you guys. Yeah.
All right, and thank you very much for volunteering for the town.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right,
guys.
Yeah,
thanks.
Take care.
That's the fun part of my job. All right, and there's our 7:30 people are not quite here yet. CSX, Allen Road derailment, yay.
Yep, so no updates on that, probably
Still a little
wait until
early,
spring.
yeah.
Yep, start letting things grow in a little bit more.
Yep.
Isn't tomorrow spring?
It is true, technically.
And the peepers started over the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we've been
I heard
listening to
them
them every
this
night,
morning,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And we've seen blue herons flying overhead.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was a wonderful thing.
Same with River Road West. We should probably poke them
Mhm.
and just let them know, hey, we're gonna be
Yep.
wanting to come out soon.
Yeah.
And then Allen Road, they should be,
Yeah, so I talked to Dan. I didn't realize I had missed the email message. But, so they haven't been out there yet. They were still waiting for like the ground and stuff to like thaw completely before trying to delineate it. Just that type of wetland kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be some soil testing to figure out exactly the boundaries of it.
right,
Um,
but they should be able to do that sooner than
Yeah,
not at this
exactly.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you could just, again, poke him and say, hey, when are you going out?
Yep.
That'd be great. Awesome. Skipping down to our old business.
Oh, just one quick thing there.
Yep.
On the 100 River Road, it made me think of it. I cleaned up along the wall on the other side of the street
Oh, yeah.
over the past couple of weeks, just for the heck of it, just raking along. And I would guess a half of a 5-gallon bucket of nip bottles.
Mm-hmm.
They leave the package store just the right distance, out the window it goes.
It's-
It was, I should have saved them, but I just shoveled them and dumped them.
Right, well, we'll have enough from Earth Day
Yeah.
to,
Good Lord.
yep. Oh, there you are, great.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
All right. While you get set up, it's just about time. We'll wait the 2.5 minutes, but.
Well, no problem at all.
So Lancaster Road, still nothing, huh?
Yeah, I don't have any updates. I meant to reach out to Scott, so
Yeah,
do that.
that would be great.
Figure out if that silt fence is still structural silt fence and
Yeah. There's really nothing else we can do, right?
nope.
Unbelievable. And we'll wait for the forestry plan and we'll wait for all the other stuff, so, all right, well, this is an informal hearing anyway, or it's actually not even a hearing, it's an informal conversation.
Just a quick meeting.
Yep,
So if you guys are
so,
okay with starting it early, then
come
by
on
all
up.
means. Would you
Yep.
guys prefer me to put this up or just throw on the table with you? What is easiest for you guys to
well, I know we have a couple of hard copies here, why don't you put it up for members of our
see?
audience?
Even better.
Lexi, do you wanna move over here?
Yeah.
And then we'll. So,
I think thanks, especially to the audience, we can look at the versions you guys have.
actually, if you could go to the side, cause there's a camera right there.
perfect.
Yeah.
That I can do.
Yeah, so this is just us.
Is this the one right next to Berlin Animal Hospital?
Yep.
I couldn't make head and tail out of this on the computer,
Oh,
so.
great.
Carolyn,
Yep.
I mentioned it to Lynn Ryan
Mhm.
because she's on the zoning board and she's also on the
And
planning.
certainly
Sure.
wanna help the
Yeah.
print,
Yep.
so.
Mhm.
This is the rail trail here.
Yep, the easement.
Yeah, Andrew, what have you done for abutter notifications?
So those were all sent out via certified mail for the for this meeting date, which we didn't get the legal ad in time for, so that's why we were actually not on this as a formal meeting. So butter notifications were sent out for this meeting. Legal ad was placed for the next meeting.
And
So
the list of abutters is in the NOI?
it is, yep. And then we have scans of everything that we've sent out so far as well. So I do greatly appreciate that. This property owner is under a sort of a time crunch with the land swap agreement, and so the idea of continuing a meeting was going to push this timeline a little bit, so we were just hoping we could come and just have a conversation, try to get some preliminary feedback. We're actually still waiting for DEP to finish the review and comments as well, so purely introductory conversation for the project, but I think it helps us get feedback from you guys as well as keeps the homeowner and the potential applicant here happy and moving things forward. So for context, you guys received this NOI for 248 Central Street, but there was references made to a land swap agreement, and that's kind of why we have this notice of intent. So to provide you guys context, there's about 4 undeveloped lots immediately to the west of this. It's a mix of forested uplands and wetlands. It's all undeveloped properties, and they're owned by a developer who has future goals for the site. There's no design right now. He just someday wants to subdivide that property and look to develop it. But he only has very limited frontage on this western portion, and the grades there are they're too steep to ever get an access road into the site, to ever get to his uplands. And so what he's done, just as part of a hope to develop the property in the future, is come forward and work with this property owner who is separate from any future work at 248 Central Street. This owner has frontage that's much flatter in grade, much more conducive to site access. And so what they've done is they've entered into a land swap agreement where this property owner, if the owner of the future subdivision does a few things for him on his property and helps him improve it, they would make an agreement where they can swap portions of the property to allow him access into his uplands for a future development, and then the owners at 248 would get a portion of his land, as well as what you saw in the notice of intent. So this notice of intent is purely for 248 Central Street. There's no subdivision proposed. This is only for the work that they agreed to in their land swap to try and help him make improvements to his property. But that's why you saw the whole land swap agreement and discussion in there. So there are 3 main things on the site plan that we would see here. Actually, if I can point it out here, it might be a little bit easier. I'll try to point it to the abutters as much as I can as well. So you guys would have seen the land swap agreement here that shows roughly where they're looking to enter the property someday with the concept of design. So that's the frontage that they would be needing to take from 248 for any future development. We see that right here. It's just about the western third to a quarter of that property. The issues that arose is currently for 248 Central Street, within the area of the potential future roadway, they have their existing well and they have a shed within that area. So for them to even be able to consider this land swap for any sort of future work, they would have to have their well relocated, their shed relocated to make access. And so that was what this notice of intent came for, is the property owner to the west who wants to develop this someday is willing to file this notice of intent for this homeowner to get all these things agreed upon and permitted up front. And then if he can get the land, a future subdivision plan would have to come as an entirely separate application.
Are the 4 lots that he's looking at on that picture, on that photo you have?
They're not here, they're immediately to the west, so it's the land that you see here, it's just,
That
it's
hill,
cut
the
off.
gravel hill, the Yeska there is what
Yeah,
you're talking
exactly.
about? That big Yeska, yeah.
Yep, so he has a bunch of forested uplands in there that would be fine to develop, he
Is
just
that
can't
the one that
access it.
Wilson owns?
I believe so.
Yep, it is supposed.
So, I'll come back here now. Basically, what he's proposing to do now is to relocate that well, to relocate that shed, and then the homeowners at 248 also asked him to clean up and expand their yard. So that roadway that I just showed you guys here comes in right here for that future proposal. So what our applicant is proposing to do is to remove that well from 248 and to drill a new well in the forested uplands to the north of the existing house. They have to directionally drill to connect that to the home. And so what we did is we looked at areas where we might be able to get there. Currently on this property is a perennial stream with some narrow BVW seen here. The wetlands and the river themselves were confirmed under an ORAD with you guys about 3 years ago. It was May of 22. Gillis and Roy flagged this property. So the resource areas have been flagged, agreed upon, they're voted in. And part of that was the confirmation of an existing stone crossing right here. Mm-hmm. So there's a perennial stream channel that comes, and there's a crossing where it's culverted underneath, and then it comes out on the other side and connects to a pond off-site. So there's an existing upland access that's already here as part of a crossing. And so what they've done is they propose to connect the well through that crossing. That way they don't have to drill under any of the wetlands and uplands, or wetlands and river, and only use the uplands to get there. And then they propose just to relocate the shed within the existing lawn. That shed relocation is going to be out of your 25. It's going to be only within the existing lawn. They're just relocating it, same size, same layout, to the other side of the property. The two important things that we're waiting on DEP to weigh in on, and that we're here to discuss with you guys tonight, is the lawn expansion and then the potential for mitigation. So as I had said, the ORAD for this property had confirmed this as a perennial stream channel, meaning there's riverfront area on this property. The homeowners at 248 Central Street have requested that this developer expand their lawn in the rear of the property. They want to expand it by about 4,200 square feet, which under the Wetlands Protection Act, when you expand lawn or encroach further towards the riverfront area, you need to provide mitigation. Most of the mitigation is either at 1:1 or 2:1 ratios, but 310 CMR 10.585G has a section where when square footage is not a relevant measure, you're allowed to look for additional means of mitigation. And so we look for areas where we can restore portions of the riverfront area with mitigation plantings, whether we can restore a stream channel itself. And so on this property, that stone crossing that I had mentioned earlier bisects the stream right now. It's a perennial river, and it connects to a pond off-site, but it's thrown into about a 12-inch concrete pipe, and it's crossed with an old cart path crossing. So we've used that as mitigation, that upon completion of the project, when they install the well in the uplands, they drill under the crossing using the uplands that are there, and they finish the project. We're gonna remove the crossing entirely, get the culvert out of there, get the stone out of there, and restore the stream channel to the existing width that's there now, and then create a continuous channel all the way through the property. So that was the mitigation that was proposed for the work within the riverfront area. Otherwise, the well is proposed just on the edge of the 100-foot buffer zone up here, and the shed will be within the existing lawn. So at a high level, that's what we're proposing here. We filed this for this deadline tonight. The legal ad didn't allow us to have a formal public meeting, so we will be coming back to you guys for a formal public meeting with me and the engineers, another full presentation. But a project like this is gonna take DEP a little bit of time to go through and issue comments, and we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to take a look and let us know any questions you have up front or anything that you would like to see added to the plans or any questions you might have as we go through this.
Yeah, where is the leach field up to date for that size house, and where is the expansion area? In other words, the 100% expansion area for the leach field, it has to meet the same quality as the other. Where's the leach field there?
I believe it's actually in
How are they
the
gonna
rear of the lot that you
access
see
this
here,
from
so it's
Macon?
behind the house here.
So many questions.
So the wetlands we see are in this green
Yeah.
hatching here,
Yeah.
100-foot buffer zone here. The leach field it's about probably 40 to 50 feet from the wetlands at current. So it's pre-existing, but it is back in the buffer zone.
Okay, and where would the proposed, if that fails, where would the 100% expansion area go to compensate for it? Has the Board of Health looked at this?
Not yet, as they're not proposing any septic work or any work to the house at this time. It's only the amenities.
I
However,
think
there is room in the front
we
yard.
would want to, I would think that we would want to find out what the final plans are, where the leach field's gonna go, that's critical.
Mhm.
And find out where they designed it before we can decide if that would pass the wetland. We're not gonna, we approved the wetland thing before, and then somebody comes and does something afterwards, all right? So,
Yep.
I mean, I would think we'd wanna look at all
Oh, I have,
aspects of
yes.
what they wanna do.
I have
before
many
we-
questions,
Okay,
yes.
good.
That's
So,
what we're
yeah,
here for,
right,
absolutely.
exactly.
Good
So,
enough.
if you wanna put that back down
Yep.
and come have a seat.
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right. First question. Is the land swap contingent on the permitting of the moving of the well?
It is, yes. So
Okay.
this notice of intent is contingent. The land swap's entirely contingent on the success of this notice of intent.
Okay. Have you gone to the Board of Health yet?
Not yet.
Have you gone to the Planning Board yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're starting with conservation.
And Linda, they don't need to come to see you, right?
Thank God.
Yeah. So we have the chair of
Fair
the
enough.
ZBA and a member of the planning board
Oh, perfect.
in-house.
Where is this 248? Is this,
So the blue house, so the blue house is,
Right next to the vet clinic.
where, so this is the blue house,
Okay.
right? And then the
Doggy
land,
daycare.
right, and so the land that they want to make the access to the back land is between the blue house and the daycare, the doggy daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna encompass any of what is now fenced in for dogs?
No, that parcel will
That
not
will
be part of the
the
project.
edge of it,
Yep.
and then it will be between there and the blue house.
Exactly, and then behind it, yeah, the animal hospital and the doggy daycare over there is a separate land parcel, and that owner's not part of this project at all, so that won't change.
Is there any PNS, outstanding? I would think that that would be your first step, and then it would be contingent upon the execution of a PNS, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the developer owns the land to the west that he wants to develop, so the land swap agreement is the remaining item here. If he doesn't get the frontage on this land swap, that would be.
You would have to show all of these departments a PNS so they know that what they do can be subject to the execution of the PNS.
Mm-hmm. And we do have a copy
You
that I
don't
can
wanna
provide.
go and make changes
Purchase
on
and
somebody
sale
else's
agreement.
land, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to assume that you guys have done your homework and the land swap leaves enough frontage, and enough of an offset, on the sides of the property that this will still be a conforming lot.
That's what the surveyors have said they were all set there, so.
Right.
Yep.
So, here's my thing. If this was new construction, this would be a hard no.
Mm-hmm.
If this was a failed well, we'd obviously have to consider it.
Mm-hmm.
It is neither of those. This is not a need situation, this is a want situation. Somebody wants to put a well in the wetlands when they don't have one in the wetlands right now. So I'm having a really hard time justifying.
The well is in the uplands. I want to make sure that's
Well,
clear.
that's
It's in
what
the
I mean.
It's not in the wetlands. It's up in. They colored that green, and it's confusing. That's significantly upgrading of the wetlands. It's up in the forested uplands behind the property. So there actually is no wetland
but
impacts.
it's still within the 200-foot
It is within
riparian zone.
Yes.
It's just outside of the 100-foot.
Yes.
So again, this is not a need situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes.
And would you like to ask your question, or do you want me to?
Sure. So you had mentioned that there's the existing crossing of the river right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be used in order to put the well in the uplands. And then you also said that you would then take out that crossing and restore the stream to its natural state.
Mm-hmm.
How do those two work together if you need that well up there to continue down and connect to the existing property?
It's a good question. Yeah. So it has to be phased to make sure that this all happens in the right order. So what that crossing does currently is it allows us unrestricted upland access to the back of the property, meaning that they can temporarily cross with timber and crane mats and get everything they need over the river without impacting anything. They would do purely directional drilling. So that's engineers will explain it better than me, but a drill rig that drills horizontally with a transmitter where they can actually drill horizontally underneath the crossing and connect it to the house. By doing that currently, while we have that crossing there, there's no wetland impacts because they can go right over where the uplands are. Once that's all, and that's all underground. So once that's connected to the house and the well is all set, then as like a final phase of the project, and this would be in any order of conditions, we would have like a construction sequence here of how this would have to happen. Then once the project's done and that pipe's underground, everything's set, then we go in, we take the culverts out, we take the crossing out, we have a wetland scientist supervising it, we have to create a stream channel, plant the banks, and then you take it all out, and that well pipe that connects to the house is only underground, under the stream. So that way there's no impacts to any of the perennial stream when you do the work, but then you create the resource area back when you're done.
So if anything were to happen to that well, they would have to then cross over that stream again with equipment to get
So
at it?
The good thing here is the land swap agreement, when they come forward with the permit, they're gonna have an access road that goes through the property that then would give you access to all the uplands to access the well in the future. So there should be unrestricted upland access to this at all times.
Does the property he wants access to, that has access on Central Street, doesn't it?
It
It
has
does.
one narrow point of frontage, and the grades are so high that they can't safely put in a road. So they've deemed that to
So this
be.
is just an easier access up on top of that hill there.
Exactly. This provides safer access. The grades wouldn't allow for a road that even would pass. So they're doing this entire thing just to get access to the site from a flatter, more easily accessible area.
Well, the top of that hill is almost like a ridge, so they're gonna have to put a house in there. There's gonna be considerable land clearing, leveling out, flattening it out, getting leach fields and stuff. It's steep on both sides. And, so he wants to put 3 or 4 houses up along that ridge?
There's nothing planned yet.
Yeah,
He knows what he has roughly for uplands, but there's more wetlands that are mapped to the north that are significantly too far for this project, but that he would be subject to for any future work. And so the idea is to keep the land swap agreement alive, to obtain the land to do it, but he would have to do a lot of research into land clearing, construction, wetland zoning before he has any sort of conceptual subdivision plan.
Yeah,
Well, so a conceptual subdivision plan was sent with this digitally. Just,
Oh yeah, they showed a markup of like a roadway where it would go and what they could service, but in talking
right,
to
well, it was for a small over 55.
yeah, which I think would require variances to even get in there. So I don't
It
think
would
that can
require
be
town meeting vote,
for sure.
just so
yeah,
you know. And there are parameters within the subdivision bylaw that the whole entire lot would have to meet.
yeah. We've had some
Plus, then there's the crossing of the rail trail.
exactly. I've seen many iterations of a subdivision for this, and none are set in stone. That the engineers made that markup to provide context of why we're looking to do this land swap and why we have to relocate some of these structures. Without that, it's a very confusing proposal. So I would say that any future plans for that would have to come forward with a whole notice of intent, town meeting. So
Right.
Madam Chairperson, this is so vague and so speculative,
100%.
100%, that I don't think we should even consider it, frankly. We can't make an up or down decision
Right, well, so,
on this. They're trying to convince
Right.
us they need to get at this land. They don't even understand what's on the land and want us to make a decision.
right.
Just,
So because the
Yeah, so-
filing has been made, we have to,
yeah, I
right.
know it. I know.
So I will tell you that, so you asked what we would like to see for the hearing.
yes,
I
absolutely.
would like to see this on one page, and I would like to see the surrounding properties and and you guys have all those delineations, because we did that before.
Yep. Yeah, they have all
Yeah.
that data.
So I would like to see all of that included, just for people to have a proper frame of reference.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I would say is that, at least at the moment, any decision that I would support would need to be contingent on the larger project being permitted.
Mm-hmm.
If the larger project isn't gonna get permitted, I don't wanna see any construction.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I certainly don't wanna see a well in crossing a perennial stream.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, before this meeting, I have asked the engineers too to look into alternate locations for the well. That's a hope that we can find something else on the property, because the existing well that's there now is non-conforming. So you can pursue a variance for a less non-conforming if it's an improvement, whereas this would have been conforming. So there's the avenue there. And for the formal meeting, the engineers Dills and Roy, they'll be joining me as well, so they can talk to a lot more of the protocols, the locations, the site engineering. So my goal is to get questions, comments, preliminary feedback, whatever comes, and
Sure.
then I'll relay it to them, and we can have these plans adjusted to make sure they can have that conversation.
Lynn?
I was just wondering, where is the rail trail, the railroad thing in relation to this?
So it is
Oh,
kind
we can-
of,
We can see it on.
is
that
it
map.
on,
It may be, let me turn it around for you.
It's a little bit off the map, but, yep,
Oh,
it
on
shows
that.
on there.
Yes, you can. It's up here.
Okay, so it's a distance away.
It is.
Well, but the property extends to the other side of the rail trail as well, right?
It does. I
Is
know,
that part of the 8 acres, or is all the 8 acres on
the street
si-
side?
Yeah,
It is part of it. The conceptual subdivision that they were just showing as a frame of reference does show the intent to eventually cross that and dissolve it and use some of the land up there. So that would be another hurdle in a future development of that.
yeah.
Especially because we are moving forward with designing, the design phase, working with the state for the rail trail.
So that's currently an abandoned railway. So you guys are looking to put like a rail trail through it.
The state is looking to do that, not us.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
And it's part of a 100-mile trail that goes.
Right, so
That-
it's
that's
all
all
the
it's
Mass
a key,
Central
it's
Rail
a
Trail.
key
Right.
section.
Yeah.
that is good feedback
Right.
for me to go back with, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
because
Mr.
actually, I
Wheeler?
would be unaware of that.
So, the taking, or the swap, is 60 feet?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The swap.
He wants to know how
your
much.
client would receive 60 feet of frontage?
Oh yes, approximately to construct the roadway.
And do you know how much frontage that leaves on the other lot?
I don't off the top of my head. I can have them add that to the site plan. That's definitely something that they can measure out.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I
So-
think that's a great addition.
So if the lot has less than 200 feet, the new lot,
Mm-hmm.
then it ends up having to comply with another provision in the zoning bylaw, which wouldn't accept a 2-acre lot. It would require 200,000 square feet. If the frontage is less than 200.
Okay. Thank you. Yep.
They should, Phyllis and Roy knows, I mean, they can check the zoning.
They will, and that's
Yeah.
absolutely within their purview to
But,
make sure of
but
that.
essentially, they'd be creating a backland lot,
Mm-hmm.
which, because it wouldn't have the required 200 feet, it would need to become a hammerhead with 200,000 square feet. I think it's 200,000. rather
Thank
than
you for
80.
that. I'll make note of that so Dylan and Roy can look into that and add those measurements to the plan to make sure of that.
What's the frontage on 248?
Right, well, so according to this, and I can't quite tell where, so the number 132 exists, and I can't quite tell, I think it's from this line to this line, but it might be to that line. Absolutely, so clearer, delineate, clearer numbers of
Would
what
it
the
be
front,
changing the frontage on 248?
absolutely.
It would be because they would be giving a portion of their frontage to the neighboring properties, so
Right.
that's it's
Which
very
is the whole
important to figure
purpose
out.
of this
What
land
would that
swap
do
to begin with.
248?
Well,
Well,
that's,
what I'm saying, if 248's frontage reduces below 200 feet, it's non-compliant with a
Right.
2-acre lot, an 8,000 square foot lot, so it would have to jump up to 200,000 square feet of area for the lot, which means jumping from, well, if you got 2 acres, you're what?
80.
43, so you're 86, 87.
Yeah, and
You'd have
it's
to- you'd have to have-
1.96 acres now.
the
That,
lot,
that lot is 1.96 acres.
So it's
Yeah.
just compliant now,
Yeah.
but if the frontage reduces to less than 200.
can you tell
which-
what the frontage is on there?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
You'll
maybe it's over
measure
there.
it out then, right?
The other question I
Do you
was,
have a?
the assumption is there that the well will be accessed through the new subdivision road
Because it would go from here,
when
right?
it's created, but if it's never created, how does the landowner get access to their well?
Which is why none
Under-
of this work, all of this work would be contingent on approval of,
But approval doesn't necessarily mean construction.
oh, that's true.
So my point is that I think there needs to be, from your point of view, some provision that a crossing of some sort that's compliant with your regs gets established
whether there's a subdivision road there. If there is never a subdivision road, there needs to be some other formidable access that meets your approval
Sure. Yep.
with a significant wetlands crossing, it seems.
Does the backland currently own that narrower strip of land, or is it a right of way?
You
This,
see it right up the top up there?
this
No, I
narrow,
mean from the street to the back.
no, that's the land, so right now, the house property owns that land?
Is there a
and-
right of way on there?
No,
Mm-mm.
So
that's where the shed is.
So they want to take ownership of the 60.
So
they
it's
have
the
a-
blue house that owns that property?
Yep.
So
With-
what's
for
the plan for
subdivision.
subdividing that property?
The back?
Yeah.
Well, he says nothing concrete.
So we're kind of,
Yeah, I've seen conceptual of the 55 plus. I've seen a few different houses put around it, but it's all Dillis and Roy showing what can be done. The important thing is he's trying to secure the access, but
Right.
that would be all I have right now. But I think we would have no problem clarifying that. I think there is a lot of contingency on this.
Yeah,
Maybe he's answering the question. Is there access now to that land?
To the land that they want
Yes.
to subdivide,
yes.
they do have frontage on Central Street. The engineers deemed that the grades are too steep to ever
But
construct a
it's on
roadway.
the other side of the doggy daycare
Yep.
or
Yes, it
whatever,
is.
right?
Yep.
And they'd have to go up over a hill
Yeah, very steep one.
that's full of ledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then one other question is that if they were to decide to pursue the over 55 option, there's a minimum acreage requirement of 20 acres, which I believe you currently meet. But if you need to give more land in the land swap, if
To
you
make
need to
this
add,
comply.
if you need to add another, well, we're at 85 and you're gonna, so you need
Hundred
to,
and twenty.
you need another 2.5 acres peeled off of the 20. If I read the pieces I've looked at correctly, then that drops you down to like 17.5. So the option is either to find more land if they wanted to pursue the over 55, or give up on the over 55 and pursue one of the other options.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that needs to be relayed to the owners so they're more aware of some of the limits.
Absolutely.
Besides the Conservation Commission limits.
Certainly, and that's why I'm here. I appreciate that's bonus input for us, so we get that tonight, so
Yeah.
thank you.
There's about 20 acres total, but
Right,
it's
but-
not contiguous.
It's not, you
Mhm.
know, the debate would be whether the parcels on either side of the track
Count.
would comply as 20.
Right.
There is a provision in the zoning bylaw that I think says that if an over 55 is proposed and acreage is on two sides of a street, that it could be considered a whole piece somehow, so I don't know why we wrote it that way.
Neither do
It's a
we.
fair question.
Should look into changing that.
yeah.
Yeah, I will have Dillis and Roy look into that though. That's definitely something we can have them address at the next meeting.
Well, your night wasn't wasted.
Right.
No, it's a very niche and obviously complex project. So I come in looking for feedback. So don't think any comments are too
Do you get what you want?
anything. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I do appreciate it. It's
Yeah,
one of the weirder
it's-
projects I've had to file lately.
Do you know if they did a perk test up?
They did.
And then, they did, okay.
They did.
Yeah, actually, you and I went
Oh,
up and
yeah,
looked
yeah,
at
it was all
the
the
was
test
that.
pits
Right,
afterwards.
Yeah,
okay.
luckily that's been
Okay.
done. There's been some
Okay.
preliminary research.
Right, so, but speaking of all the ledge in the area, has any investigation been done into the ability to drill horizontally under the perennial stream? And what ledge there might be there?
I don't believe they've done anything other than their test pits, so I can follow up and see if they've done any small borings or anything like that. But if not, that
Because
is
there's a fair possibility that there's ledge there,
absolutely and that
given the area. So riddled with problems.
mhm.
And again, if it was a need situation, I would feel differently about it. It is not a need situation. And I would need some strong reason to feel better about it than I do now.
Understood. I think I have what I need to go back and talk with the engineers and see what we can do to come up with some plans for the next meeting then.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions at the moment? We open the official hearing at our next meeting, April
What is that?
Second, second, I think.
I think it's the second.
second, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I have just a
The
brief
fourth,
question,
that is.
is,
Yeah.
would, for these proposed 4 lots, or however many there'll be for building, would each of those need an individual well? Would there be a community well? What are your thoughts on that, or what?
It would
form?
individual.
It would be individual.
They would need individual private wells, but
Okay.
yeah,
And
the conceptual
septic.
hasn't gone to that detail yet, so that's something the engineers can definitely answer.
Okay, thank you.
And septic, yeah, exactly.
So do we know if this land will perk?
They've done some test holes, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions? All right.
The only other thing I recommend, showing some permanent markers along the 20-foot buffer to keep them from encroaching on past their new lawn area.
I always like that as a
Yeah.
condition, so I honestly, I would
Yeah.
suggest it. I think, I
Yeah.
try to put those in whenever I can.
That's
It's
great.
good for the future.
And
Yeah.
more permanent. Was it you that we met at?
It was Mark Arnold.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah, I
Um,
work with Mark.
Like really permanent, not little plastic tags on sticks.
Did Mark put plastic tags in?
Well, because it was after the fact, because DEP had a superseding order of conditions on that property and didn't put any condition for that.
They don't often.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those usually come up
And we
locally on
usually
roads.
like granite.
Granite bounds
like-
are safe.
Or boulders or, you
Yeah,
know,
those are
something
the
very,
safest.
yeah.
The only other time I do anything differently is sometimes I'll do birdhouses where they're like it's wooden but they're staked into the ground, but they're on birdhouses to try and get some wildlife benefit as well. But they're not going to be fully permanent, so it's
Right.
granite bounds are the safest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm open to all this. And again, thank you guys for having us informally tonight. Obviously, it was our mistake to not place the legal ad, so I appreciate you still having us come and
Yeah.
take feedback. That's really helpful for us.
Yep. Yeah, it's always helpful to be able to have an informal conversation before the hearing.
I agree. We're always racing deadlines so tightly you never get to. I usually don't even get to tell the agents we're filing before it's in their hands. But
Right.
if in a perfect world, I'd love to. So no, I appreciate this very much, and I know the team will as well. So I will go back with these comments and questions, and I will bring the engineers with me too, so that way we can have a good conversation at the next meeting.
Great. Thank you so much.
No, of course, guys. Thank you very much.
We had to drive over there the other day because I couldn't make head or tail out of it. When I was looking
Right.
at it. So,
All right, we'll wait for Louise to get back before moving on. But we definitely can move on to trail maintenance because Ethan's not here, so we don't have anything. So we can check that off the agenda. Thank you,
may I-
you too.
May I say something, right,
Yeah, absolutely.
cause I don't see it listed here anywhere. I did capture some images, that are interesting from, the camera that we placed in 40 Caves. I don't know how much.
Okay.
Snowmobile.
Yep. Okay. Let's get that information to the authorities.
Okay.
That would be great.
I'll write that up then.
Yeah.
Is this new
Yeah.
stuff or the stuff we talked about previously?
The, same problem, just some new.
It happened again.
Yeah.
In a different place, and I was, in Costa Rica when it happened, with the camera.
Camera got it.
Excellent.
Time and date, temperature. Yep.
Listen, I don't know if this is under trail maintenance or not, but is the rail trail a project of the Conservation Commission? Did we adopt that and sort of run it out of here
Well, Robin has been
as a member of the
working with,
Conservation
as a member
Commission?
of the Conservation Commission, has been working with the
As
state
I have
and
a long time
VHB.
too,
Yeah.
Is Ethan working on it?
Ethan's not really working on the rail trail
Okay.
specifically.
Okay,
Yep.
And it looks
Okay.
like we can still meet.
And Robin's been working on the stuff with the state
yeah.
and VHB.
Since you get it through the Senate, and I don't.
Because the reason I ask, I mean, is that, you know, a lot of stuff being reinvented, and I spoke with a
You guys always meet.
good guy on the, some of the abutters really feel. When I was working, I approached him, and I approached one today and said, well,
Thank
you're
you.
the only one that ever
Have a good night.
came to us and talked about it, and it's very important to talk to these people. And, getting across Colburn Road, I think at one time been wise to stop it at Colburn. It could've been all done by now up to there, if it'd been pushed several years ago. It didn't, so now everybody wants to look at the whole thing. Well, that could still work out and get it across Colburn, but we'd need to, you know, some of us that have lived around for 50 years know people and know how to talk to them, and some of the people that show up and against this would be for it. We could get them to propose it, but I think if it's going to go through, we missed an opportunity to buy all the railroad land for $10,000 an acre once. We don't wanna lose, it's up around 40 now. The longer you wait, I mean, I think it's critical to get that bid ASAP, so that's, you know, but I'm not hearing anything about it, you know.
Okay,
who's
right,
gonna
why would we buy the land?
From, well, first of all, when you get to Colburn Road, when you cross it, we don't own anything. The railroad owns about a half,
We actually
three-quarters.
own a little bit between the rail bed and the road and West Street. At least according to the map.
No, if we should come out, if we're going to accommodate one of the greatest historic houses in the town, McKelk's, move away from the town barn, Beards, and go down the old county road, we don't have to touch the rail bed all the way to the Five Corners. We're not gonna put it between the rail bed and the highway, it's gonna be on the other side of the rail bed. If it goes on top of the rail bed, you'll have a lot of opposition probably from neighbors to buying that, but it could go, follow the county road all the way up, and it'd be on conservation land. And then you remember when they put those 4 or 5 houses up beyond Lucy Ayers, we
Well, we didn't, the state did that. The state sold them that crossing.
yeah, what we said, we would not outbid them on that
Oh, I
land.
didn't realize we had the opportunity
Yes,
to buy
we did.
that.
If anybody, we have first refusal. So we passed over the first refusal. And with if they put a easement across it, which we have.
Mhm.
So, anyway, regardless of discussing, I mean, who's doing what, when, where, and how? I mean, I don't know. Well, they're working on it. Who's
Well,
working on
so-
it? Are we working on it or not?
So Robin,
Because I think we could do a lot more, a lot quicker with, Preston Turner and I had maps on this 15, 20 years ago.
yeah,
Talk
so,
to people.
so Robin is working with VHB from Coburn Road to Hudson. That's phase 1.
Yeah.
And then phase 2, which everybody knows is the harder part, is from
Right.
Coburn Road to
Exactly,
Clinton,
right.
whatever direction that goes in. So, but from Hudson to Coburn Road is kind of a done deal. Like,
No.
there's no
Well, yes,
ifs.
it is or not, but as we're on Conservation Commission, again, as I talk to the key people who kind of oppose this thing, and it doesn't, and you and I know that it's gonna go through, but it seems as though we should at least approach these people. None of them have been approached by, except when I did years ago, nobody's talking to them anymore, so I'm just thinking, how are we gonna manage this thing? And
Well, there
I'm-
was a public meeting 3 weeks ago.
oh, yeah, I went to that, yeah.
Yep.
And it, yeah, I don't know how much we're paying them, but I would put on a better better meeting than that, with all the maps and everything, talking to the people. All right, next time we come in, I will bring in a few maps that have been around a long time, and I think we should start the lobby. Frankly, I'm thinking of the McCulk's house.
Mm-hmm.
Very historic place. We could, right behind their house is the railroad. If we go down the old county road, that doesn't help them much. But if you start back here, the railroad owns a half acre of land right behind the town barn. I forget the name of the people that own a private sector here. And then Freddie Wheeler owns a piece here. And if you went from the corner of this one behind the town barn here, it would move that away another 150 feet from McKelk's house.
You're talking about the old town barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old town
Yeah.
barn.
Okay, you do know that the people on the other side of Lucy's own their piece of the railroad bed.
So there is an easement, technically.
Yeah, there
I've
is.
seen it on paper in relation to the house, and it's like right next to the house.
Right.
But that's after Coburn Road. That's a
Mhm.
whole other design phase, and what VHB is working on now is what's called a 10% design. So they're not going into details of the design, but they're just doing an overall design. And once that is done, I believe that is then where we would talk about maybe shifting it and moving it and everything. But until that has been presented,
Okay. Somebody was out there last fall,
someone from
walking
VHB.
and I forget all the details, but I met them there. I knew they're gonna be, so I showed up, talked to them. And I tried to talk to them, and they like walk right by. They stuck right along the top of the railroad embankment, like it was gonna go right straight across Coburn onto the other side. It was like talking to a wall. So before, and I know, somebody lays down the first plan, that biases everybody. I'm looking to have input and have some consideration before that proposal comes from them. So I guess I'm gonna call Robin then. I tried to communicate with her. I guess I'll be a little more persistent, because I want in on it and find out, because I'm worried about, I work closely with the McKelks, with Berlin Stone, and we should be working with Mary Porter, not that we can do much for her, but the citizens, our neighbors, aren't being consulted enough and communicated with enough, and I think we need to do that. Okay, I'll deal with Robin, talk with Robin, get some input.
Okay. All right. The forest stewardship plan.
Yep, so the only update is, March 24th, we'll be meeting with select board, just to review the contract that Gary sent over. Have you heard any more from Gary?
No.
No, okay.
Can you resend the contract?
Yep.
I'm sure I have it in my email somewhere, but,
Yep, I can
yeah,
send
that way
So that's next Monday?
Yep, next Monday at 6:35, I think she said. So if anybody wants to hear about that.
Is that here?
Yep,
Yeah.
they meet in that room over there. And they do meet hybrid, so if you just wanna, log in on Zoom, just to hear what's going on, you don't have to come down.
So that's next Monday?
Next Monday, yep. Yep, and so we're just updating that because they have to sign the contract. We can't sign a contract for the town, for town land. So we're updating them on what we're up to. Cool. Tohoto internship program. Ladies?
AJ and I met with Mr. Parrott last week.
And he is
And
the shop teacher,
He's the
correct?
shop teacher. And briefly again today, AJ was phenomenal as per usual, and he got a ton of wood and cut it all up and made it into kits for the students. So we were at Tohoto today to drop that off. And then AJ and Phil and I are planning to go to Tohoto on Friday, where they're having what they call a refresh day, which is basically just a break from the regular curriculum, in order to have Mr. Parrott's classes build bluebird houses. Mr. Parrott has 100 students, and our capacity is lower than 100 for birdhouses. His plan is to pair them up, and then I think we decided that we would give them the opportunity to take home the bluebird houses if they wanted to, or to donate them up to 25 to us.
I actually said today, 25 come back, and he said you might get them all.
Oh, wow.
But we
Oh,
will
that
get
would
the
be sad.
25.
I was also thinking that we could reach out to Boylston and see if they wanted any, if we don't have capacity for all
Sure.
of those.
Yep, to their conservation commission.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wanted to also ask you about what you would like to present to the students about Concom, if anything. These students are not the same students who indicated interest on the questionnaire from
Right.
a few weeks ago, because this is just his students.
Mhm.
Hopefully we'll be able to set something up where the students who actually indicated this interest will get the opportunity to build the houses, the bluebird houses. But I know you sent me those handouts.
Right.
And I was thinking of printing up the one that is information on bluebirds so that the students could.
I think that would be great,
background.
especially if anybody does take a bluebird house home,
Right.
they have the information.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be real nice if we could have that on a website and just give them a QR code. They can take a
Right.
picture of.
Right. We
But-
do have it on our website. No, it's on our Facebook page, I know that.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it,
We should be able to create a QR code from that then.
Well, the question is how many students have a Facebook account.
Well,
I don't know how,
Right.
many.
yeah, and they allowed to
Facebook
use
is
their
very
phone at
old,
the
yes,
school.
yeah.
Mr.
Right.
Parrott said he would print them out, so.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
could include a link of some kind on the paper,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we have the best
The-
links at the moment.
The houses that I've given out and given to families, I have a poop sheet on it, basics, and then I had 2 sites, but I've knocked it down to one, the American Bluebird Society. It just has
Okay.
everything.
Right, and that
Yeah.
is the link that I think, so that's where those documents
Okay,
came
yeah, we
from,
have-
and, yeah.
Even
Yep.
tells how, oh, there you go, it even explains how many times, if you go on the site, how often you can monitor them, how you should look at them, and then you go and it even has a checkoff sheet monitored on this day, what did you see? And you
nice.
can, but when I've talked to a family, you know, with a couple of kids and everything, I mean, can't believe how excited they are about it, you know, they never gave it a thought, never knew this, and then you get bluebird, turkey, vulture, what kind of bird's that? TV bird, they don't, you know, it's like getting them engaged in
Yeah.
nature a little bit, so I think it's important to do that, and AJ's idea about having a website, but it'd be nice to have a map of where these places are too, and almost if people, not everybody will, but even if 12 people, families, checked in, well, we've got 6 eggs, 4 hatched, 2 fledglings, you know, a year or something like that, so we produce 52 bluebirds, you know, this year, and in other words, get them talking about it, engaged in it, and that'll expand into everything else, tree swallows and everything else, you know, which are great. Okay.
Yeah, and since our Facebook page is public, they don't have to have an account to still view it.
No? Okay.
Yeah, so.
That's good.
Yep.
Can we link directly to a post on Facebook? Or I don't know how Facebook
I
works.
know.
I think so, right?
I think so.
Yeah, when
Sure
you share a
sounds
post,
right,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It
I'm like,
generates
ooh.
something, yeah.
Us oldies will work on that.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
good-
Or if
think
anything, we can work on creating like a separate little web page within our page, right?
Well,
With all the
Absolutely, we
information.
can definitely post it. We can have, you know,
Like a-
all of those different sections on the side. We could
Yep.
have one just about bluebirds.
Yep.
We could do, did you guys happen to take pictures when you don't drop the boxes off?
No.
So if you could take some pictures on Friday, you know, no kids' faces
Yeah.
and all of that.
His first 2 periods he's going to take to set up, so there won't be children during that time period.
Okay. Yeah, so, you know, just maybe the room with all the kits laid out or whatever, and so we can put that on there. We can put I'm sure we could do PDFs of the information and also a link to the American Bluebird
Mhm.
Society page, and
Mhm.
yeah. Do you have the login for the
I do.
website? Yes,
Yep.
we both do. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can't see any way to link directly to a page on my phone, but you can probably do it on a computer. I just don't
Right.
see it there.
Yeah.
Whatever. Gotta quit being distracted. Oh, I have not heard back from John Blueback, but you know he was in Florida when that email went through. But the neighbor across the street said he has 2 little kids, and he said we'd be happy to have a couple bluebird houses. So this weekend,
Cool.
no, we'll add them to your list.
Do you have a Kestrel box?
I can make one. As you know. Do you need another one? Okay.
Any chance we can get one up on Rainville Farm?
I've got 2 up there now.
We do?
Kestrel or Bluebird?
Kestrel?
Kestrel.
Kestrel
2
or
bluebirds.
2 Bluebird,
Oh,
yeah.
can
And
we
they're
get it?
both, today when I was there were bluebirds in the one in the front yard. And then last week I emptied out the one down in the orchard, and that had a bluebird in that one.
Mhm.
So I assume that'll re-nest. Yeah, I could put some on the other side of the road too, but.
Could we
yeah.
get a Kestrel box in their field? By the
Well,
pawpaws?
By where?
By the pawpaws in that field?
Yeah, I put one down back. If you go along Barnes Hill heading down, you look to your left and you'll see a Kestrel box sticking up on a pipe
Okay.
right along the hedgerow there. But yeah, we can put up all you want. There was a Kestrel up there a couple of years ago, I
Mhm.
saw, yeah.
Yeah, they're real territorial though, so you
Yeah.
got a pretty good
Not put
distance
too
many.
between them.
Yeah.
Well, you could get several hundred feet from down to Rainville Farm. without-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think we should put a camera on the ones we have and see if we get any?
Yeah, I need to start walking
Oh,
those things
that
and
would
see
be
if anything's
cool.
coming up. Ooh,
Yeah.
We could get like a little Nest Cam. Get
Right?
people really into it.
Stream it live on
Yep.
Berlin Neighbors Connect.
All right.
All right. So the other students, the ones that did say they had an interest, have you had any communication with them?
Just to confirm that they do still have interest, I had hoped that the structure of Refresh Day would allow an open thing for any student to come in and build birdhouses, but that's not the way that it's structured.
Yeah.
So I did mention to Ms. Sequeira that we would like to be able to have something, if possible, there. A lot of the students that I emailed specifically asked whether it be during school hours because they have after-school activities that they would need to coordinate.
Right.
So that is there currently isn't anything planned for that.
Okay.
We could do something outside of Tohoto and
Mhm.
just invite the students.
Sure.
I think it would be more difficult for them to be able to make that happen.
Right. Right, because we could do like something at the 1870 on a Saturday morning or
Right.
something, but,
They have sports and
right.
other social things. So.
Yeah, so that does get hard.
Yeah, but I did mention to Ms. Sequeira that if it's possible, we would like to be able to do something at Tohoto for those students. She knows that there are a lot of students who indicated interest, so
Okay. Cool.
not sure.
All right. well, thank you for continuing with that. And then the Bluebird Trail we kind of also just talked about. All right, last but not least, Earth Day. Come one, come all.
Well, from Tohoto, so yesterday, I gave this to Rich Cameron,
Oh, did you give it?
I gave it to him yesterday, so they scanned it and,
Oh, it was out as a draft, though. There have been a couple corrections. I'm sorry.
well, I don't think it's been distributed
Okay.
yet. I told him that
Okay.
we're gonna be there on Friday
Right.
Okay,
to
great.
talk
great.
about
Did
it
you
then, so
hear-
nothing's been.
Nope.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. I'm listening to 2 meetings at the same
Yep.
time.
There's no action been
Okay.
taken, I just made them aware, so
Okay.
we can bring any
Mhm.
updates you have, so.
Right.
But
Well, I
they were
spoke-
very excited about that too.
I spoke to Lisa today,
Okay.
and she's very supportive of this. My voice. So she suggested that we send flyers, and she would post them and, encourage. And she suggested that maybe somebody from the Conservation Commission or the Earth Day Committee could go like at lunchtime and sign kids up.
Cool.
I would be willing to do that,
Okay.
and I told her that we would provide maps and, right.
Yep.
So, yeah, she's very, very interested in having the kids be involved in their community.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you go with her?
Maybe. High school
Depends
students
on what.
scare me a little.
Yeah, well, that would be good if you came, to work something out.
Does anyone know when Boylston's doing their Earth Day?
Great question.
Yeah, we can find out.
Just because I feel like with Tohoto, since it's a joint school,
Sure.
it would make sense to have
Both.
some,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
we
I think
can.
that would be important.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because
Do they do roadside cleanup?
I don't know.
Public? Yeah, I don't either.
I would
so.
assume that they do, but I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Most
sure they
towns do
Mhm.
to some degree or another.
Did Ms. Sakura say that Tohoto does anything on their property for cleanup?
No. Right. I
Yeah,
don't
I've
think-
never heard of anything being done specifically at
I
Tohoto.
do know that one time the Lions, the Leos at Tohoto planned an Earth Day.
They
And
do
it
have
was
An
trails.
Earth Day
down there.
cleanup?
Hmm?
A cleanup?
A cleanup,
Okay.
right,
Around the property or?
around the town of
Boylston.
Boylston,
Okay.
right.
'Cause, I mean, there are trails on Tohonto's land back down to the reservoir and
Yep.
stuff,
Right.
so.
Okay, we can check into that.
And
But that wouldn't be
low
fair.
bush cranberries grow along some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got gallons.
Yeah,
of
I've
it.
gotten a ton as well, yeah.
Yeah. So I contacted Berlin Highland Wine and Spirits, and they are perfectly willing to donate $500 again.
Excellent.
They said, just tell us who you want the money to go to, and we'll process the checks and everything.
Okay,
And they're very willing to put up a display again.
excellent.
Right. So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions of where the money.
Right, well, so you had suggested Lorenz's Animal Rescue,
Right.
which I think is great. Is there anything at Tohoto that would benefit from a donation?
Good
Especially
question.
from, any environmental,
I don't know the answer to that.
so then we could split it
Right.
between those two. So see if you
Well,
can.
can we have a chance to think about it? Liz? First I've heard about it. I can think of a couple of things. So what's the animal rescue thing you're talking about?
So James Holyoke's wife
Oh.
does an
okay.
animal rescue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gone overseas and everything rescuing animals.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
think
so,
something that would benefit the school students, right?
yeah, so ask Miss Lisa Sequeira and see if there's anything that she knows of.
Mm-hmm.
A student group that could use a little seed money or something.
Yeah, well, one year, we made a donation to the, Hands on Nature's got
Yep.
money, but the, what do they call it?
We've done the
Nature's
food.
Classroom,
Yep,
we paid to have one student go.
that's true, we did a
All
scholarship.
right, I'll talk to her and see if we
Yeah,
can divide
see.
it between the two.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we
Well,
need to confirm that we want that money to go to Tohoto before we reach out?
yeah, like Walter said, let's think about it for,
Right, so
Bring
find
it to
out
the next
if
meeting.
there's any
Yeah.
organizations, bring it to the next meeting, and then we can vote as to, and you
Yeah.
think about it, and anybody else, and
we really wanna focus on,
Yeah,
environmental.
environmental.
Exactly,
sort of-
well, that's why
Right.
if there's an
Right.
environmental group
conservation.
or
Right.
something, yeah, exactly. Yeah, not
Yeah, well-
not the chess club.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're wonderful people, but that's not our.
Right.
Did you
Yeah.
want to send that
so
email or do
they,
you want me
you
to?
know, he said as soon as we give them names, they will process the checks and get them
Awesome,
out
yeah,
to
they've
us.
always been great.
All right,
Yep.
yeah, very good.
Yep.
Right, I mean, I'm willing to contact Lisa, and say,
Okay,
tell her what we're doing and that we would like to share it with you.
right, if there's any conservation / environmental specifically
Right.
groups. And, don't promise the money, just say you're reaching out and,
Right,
and we will see what we come up with.
And I've notified the police department, the fire department, the highway department, and, they're all on board. Oh, and I talked to Stan Rogalinsky, anybody know, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
He knows,
Yeah.
he knows it's coming.
Awesome.
He
so
wanted
the
the date.
police department is gonna be out, patrolling the streets?
That's up for them, that's up to them to, but it was in my note,
Right,
you know.
and the
we-
highway department will pick up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
They've always been very supportive
Oh,
as
yeah,
well, and the
yeah.
fire department, sometimes has cleaned up along Route 62.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so.
they haven't the last couple of years, but I
I
think we
I
should.
thought they did last year.
Highway
I think
department, I
highway,
think, did.
yeah.
Oh, was
Fred-
it highway last year?
Fred and his
Well,
crew.
I'd say
yeah.
that members of the fire department, are also on the highway department,
Mhm.
so they
Right.
were cleaning up, but like
So.
the fire chief was not involved,
Okay,
right,
But they know the presence of extra people on the streets and stuff
Right.
like
Right.
that, so.
yeah.
Right.
You know, and our notification to them is more, to make them aware, so, yeah.
Mhm. And I think, I spoke to, the guy at the, general store,
mm-hmm,
and
Ed,
he will support, but we didn't go into any specifics.
Ed's been great,
Yeah.
also, yeah.
And
Yeah,
do we-
he did little gift certificates
Yes,
or
he
something,
did.
right,
Right.
last year?
Did you go to the one down at the traffic circle and ask that package store if they would,
The one at the
The-
no, I have not,
they're the ones that put the.
yeah, I've asked.
Well,
the
there's that end. I get the other end.
I'm perfectly willing to ask. We've approached Daniels a couple of times, and one year they gave him $100.
They're
Right,
under
and
new
one year
people
they
now.
said they would and then never did,
Right,
yeah.
They're new people now.
I
No,
mean,
that's true, it's new ownership now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Right.
It's not
Yep.
diagnosed
I mean,
anymore.
I'm willing to, go and
Yeah.
ask, right,
great,
yeah. And I don't know if HA wants to, talk to the general store about this, gift certificates and providing coffee and donuts.
Yeah, I don't wanna take that out of your hands if you've already
Huh?
started, but, yeah, I can do it, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
awesome.
super.
All right,
Are
Yeah.
you able to reach out to Boylston's Concom to see if?
Yep.
Yeah, I can reach out to them tomorrow and figure out when their birthday actually is.
awesome. All right, anybody have anything else?
I do.
Okay,
Oh, I forgot to bring this up. But, when, we were negotiating with the school for building the birdhouses,
mm-hmm,
I didn't see this coming. The wood was all donated, and it was a lot. We picked up, 16 10-footers, and I picked up another 20.
Wow.
and used most of it. But he said, we cannot supply the glue or the nails, so I went and bought them.
Okay.
Is that a reimbursable?
I don't see why.
I did it
wouldn't
without
be.
permission, but it was under,
Um,
kind of a short fuse.
Anybody want to make a motion that AJ can be reimbursed for glue and nails?
Well,
For what?
question first though.
Glue and nails.
How much did the glue cost? I have never glued a birdhouse together. The nails to it.
Yeah.
In fact, I tried to pull one of yours apart to make the door move on it.
Good luck.
I pulled the
Tide Bond
nails out,
three.
I couldn't open it.
Ooh, take
I
a
think-
three.
And I bought 3 bottles there. I think they're $10 a piece or something. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
But Tide Bond 3 is it has the best open time of any of the waterproof glues.
I
and
moved
it,
that we reimburse AJ
it's pretty robust.
for all the stuff for that. It does so much.
Yeah, well,
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have to
And
vote. 'cause
certainly
we
aye.
need a quorum. Okay, so bring those in next week and we will vote on the dollar amount.
yeah, I can look it up right now, I think, because it'll be in here.
Well, we need the physical receipts for
Yeah, I
you
know,
to
I
hand
know.
in anyway,
If
so.
you want-
The only other thing
Yeah.
I would
Some
have
idea
to
what
say
the
is
dollar
I
amount
told AJ earlier, when I was coming up here, 5 deer went in front of me right just down the street here. If you go down beyond the red house, there's a pond on Skipland, and that is a heck of a crossing there. I have coffee every morning at the store, and always somebody sees those deer cross there.
Nice.
Cool.
And a month ago, I was riding up the street with my little 11-year-old granddaughter, and she said, "Hey, Grandpa, what's that there?" And a big fisher was going up to the
Oh,
woods.
wow.
Oh!
I mentioned that to someone else and said, "Oh, yeah, I see them a lot." So that is quite a wildlife crossing when
Yeah.
you look at it. And they go along that ridge along South Street, down behind this guy here, AJ's, and come all the way up. They cross there up behind Skips, and they go up into the site there. But that is in the wintertime, your tracks there all the time. It's quite a
I
while.
bet.
I should put up a camera there, actually.
That's awesome.
But anyway, they were healthy looking deer.
We had 2 deer we saw last weekend. I've only seen them once in 2 years.
Oh, really?
So-
Well,
and I
maybe
saw
they're
some-
starting to,
Maybe that's
now
it.
that this, everything's settling down up there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? Mr. Bickford?
No.
All right. Who wants to make a motion?
I move that we end the meeting at,
8:37.
yeah,